When the fiend saw Pilgrim, he stood erect and began to wave a long lance back and forth in the air. Holding high his rod to assume a position of combat, Pilgrim asked, "From what region a fiend are you? Of what place a spirit are you?" The fiend gave no reply whatever. All he did was to wave his lance. Pilgrim asked again, but still there was no reply from the fiend, who only persisted in waving the lance. Smiling to himself, Pilgrim said, "You've got to be both deaf and dumb. Don't run away. Watch my rod." The fiend, however, was not frightened in the least. Brandishing his lance, he parried Pilgrim's blows, and the two of them charged back and forth, up and down, in midair. They fought till it was about the hour of the third watch and no decision was reached. Standing down below in the courtyard, 8 Rules and Shamunk saw everything clearly. The fiend, you see, only wielded the lance to parry the blows, but he did not attack his opponent at all. Pilgrim's rod, therefore, hardly ever left the head of the fiend. "Shamunk," said 8 Rules with a laugh. "You stand guard here, and let Old Hog go and help with the fight. We can't allow that monkey to make this merit all by himself, or he'll be rewarded with the first goblet of wine. Dear idiot." He leapt up to the edge of the clouds and attacked at once with his rake, which was met by another lance of the fiendish creature. The 2 lances danced in the air like flying serpents and flashing thunderbolts. Praising him, 8 Rules said, "This monster spirit shows great technique with the lance. He's not using the style of the mountain-back lance, but it's more like the winding silk lance. It's not the Ma family lance, but it probably has the name of the flabby handle lance." "Stop babbling, idiot," said Pilgrim. "There's no such thing as the flabby handle lance." 8 Rules said, "Just look at how he uses the pointed ends of the lances to parry our blows, but the handles of the lances are nowhere to be seen. Where has he hidden them, I wonder? Maybe it is the flabby handle lance," said Pilgrim. "But what's important is that this fiendish creature does not know how to speak, because he has not yet attained the way of humans. He is still heavily under the influence of the yin aura. In the morning, when the yang aura grows stronger, he will certainly want to flee. We must give chase and not let him get away." "Exactly. Exactly," said 8 Rules. They fought for a long time and then the east paled with light. Not daring to linger, the fiend turned and fled, while 8 Rules and Pilgrim gave chase together. As they sped along, they suddenly encountered an oppressively foul stench rising from the pulpy persimmon alley of the 7 Extremes mountain. "Which family is cleaning its privy?" cried 8 Rules. "Wow. The smell's horrible." Clamping a hand over his nose, Pilgrim could only mutter, "Chase the monster spirit. Chase the monster spirit." Darting past the mountain, the fiend at once changed back into his original form, a huge, red-scaled python. Look at him. His eyes flashed forth the stars of dawn. His nose belched out the morning fog. His teeth like dense rows of steel swords. His claws curved like golden hooks. From the brow rose a horn of flesh that seemed to be formed by 1,000 pieces of carnelian. His whole body was draped in red scales that resembled 1,000,000 flakes of rouge. Coiled up on earth, he could be confused with a brocade quilt. Flying in the air, he could be mistaken for a rainbow. Where he rested, putrid fumes rose to the sky. When he moved, scarlet clouds covered his body. Big enough. People on his east end couldn't see the west. Long enough. He was like a mountain stretching from pole to pole. "So, it's such a long snake," said 8 Rules. "If it wants to devour people, one meal will probably take 500 persons, and it'll still not be filled." Pilgrim said, "That flabby handle lance has to be his forked tongue. He has been weakened by our chase. Let's hit him from behind." Bounding forward, our 8 Rules brought his rake down hard on the fiendish creature, who darted swiftly into a hole. Only 7 or 8 feet of the tail remained outside when it was grabbed by 8 Rules, abandoning his rake. "I got him," I got him," he cried as he used all his might to try to pull the fiend out of the hole, but he could not even budge him. "Idiot," said Pilgrim, laughing. "Leave him inside. I know what to do. Don't try to pull a snake backward like that." 8 Rules indeed let go, and the fiend slithered inside the hole. "Before I let go just now," complained 8 Rules. "Half of him was already ours. Now he has slithered inside. How could we make him come out again? Isn't this what you call no more snake to play with?" Pilgrim said. "This fellow has quite a hefty body. The hole is so small that he can never turn around inside. He has to move in a straightforward manner, and there has to be also a rear entrance. Go find it quickly and bar the hole. I'll attack him from the front entrance here." Idiot dashed past the mountain, where he indeed discovered another hole. He paused, but he had hardly stood still when Pilgrim at the front entrance sent a terrific jab with his rod into the hole. In great pain, the fiendish creature darted out of the rear entrance. Caught off guard, 8 Rules was struck down by his tail and, unable to get up again, he lay on the ground to nurse his pain. When Pilgrim saw that the hole was empty, he picked up his rod and ran over to the rear, shouting for 8 Rules to chase the fiend. On hearing Pilgrim's voice, 8 Rules became so embarrassed that, regardless of his pain, he scrambled up and began to beat the ground madly with his rake. When he saw him, Pilgrim laughed and said, "The fiend's gone. What are you doing that for?" 8 Rules said, "Old Hog's here beating the bush to stir the snake." "What a living idiot," said Pilgrim. "Let's chase him." The two of them ran past a brook, when they found the fiend had coiled himself into a mound on the ground. Rearing his head, he opened wide his huge mouth and wanted to devour 8 Rules. Terrified, 8 Rules turned and fled, but our Pilgrim went forward to meet him and was swallowed by the fiend in one gulp. Pounding his chest and stamping his feet, 8 Rules screamed, "Alas, elder brother! You're dead." Inside the stomach of the monster spirit, Pilgrim held up his iron rod and said, "Don't worry, 8 Rules. Let me ask him to build a bridge for you to see." He stuck his rod up a bit more, and the fiendish creature had to raise his torso until he resembled a bow-shaped bridge. "He looks like a bridge, all right," said 8 Rules. "But no one would dare walk on it. Let me ask him again to change into a boat for you to see," said Pilgrim. He plunged the iron rod downward. With the stomach hugging the ground and the head upraised, the fiendish creature looked like a sloop from the Ken River district. "He may look like a boat," said 8 Rules. "But there is no topmast for him to use the wind. Get out of the way," said Pilgrim. "And I'll make him use the wind for you to see." Using all his strength, Pilgrim pushed his iron rod upward from the spine of the fiendish creature until it reached a height of some 70 feet and the shape of a mast. In desperate pain and struggling for his life, the fiend shot forward, faster than any wind-blown vessel, and made for the road on which he came. Some 20 miles down the mountain, he finally fell motionless to the dust and expired. 8 Rules caught up with him from behind and attacked him madly once more with his rake. Meanwhile, Pilgrim ripped a big hole in the creature's body and crawled out, saying, "Idiot, he's dead already. Why use your rake on him?" "Oh, elder brother," said 8 Rules. "Don't you know that Old Hog all his life has loved to strike at dead snakes?" They thus put away their weapons and dragged the creature back by his tail. "We tell you now about the old Lee in the Twolwo village. He and the rest of the people said to the Tang monk, 'For a whole night your 2 disciples have not returned. They must have lost their lives.' 'I don't think it's that serious,' said Tripitaka. 'Let us go out to have a look first.' Soon they caught sight of Pilgrim and 8 Rules approaching, dragging a huge python behind them and shouting to clear the way. Only then did the people become delighted. The old and young, the men and women of the entire village all came to kowtow and say, Holy Fathers, this is the very monster spirit that has taken many lives here. We are fortunate to have you exercise your power today and extirpate the fiendish deviate, for now our lives are secure." All the households were filled with gratitude, so much so that each one of them insisted on thanking the pilgrims with gifts and feasting. Master and disciples were detained for nearly a week, and only after much pleading on their part were they permitted to leave. When the people saw that the pilgrims refused to accept any kind of monetary rewards, they all prepared some dried goods and fruits. With laden horses and mules, colored banners, and red ribbons, they came to say farewell. There were only 500 families in the region, but those who came to send them off numbered more than 700. They journeyed amiably, and in a little while they arrived at the entrance of the pulpy persimmon alley in the Mountain of Seven Extremes. When Tripitaka smelled the wretched odor and saw how clogged the road was, he said, "Wukong, how could we pass through?" Clamping his hand over his nose, Pilgrim said, "This is rather difficult." When Tripitaka heard him say, "Difficult," tears dropped from his eyes. Old Li and others went forward and said, "Father, please do not be anxious. When we accompanied you here, we had already made up our minds. Since your noble disciples subdued the monster spirit for us and delivered the entire village from such calamity, we are all determined to open up a road for you to pass through." "Oldie," said Pilgrim, smiling, "your words aren't very reasonable.